What's up, you guys? How y'all doing? So, UH softball tied in with the Foxborough Supercross. I'm going to talk about UH softball first because their next series is coming up on Friday, and I've been kind of putting off my recap for a little bit too long again. So, I'm going to do that today. But first of all, guys, before I get into all this, remember, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to. Or if you just want to see some more of my games, I've already posted a couple this week. I might post another one, probably another Tetris 2 game or Tetris Flash, however you gamers want to call it. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about UH softball this past weekend where they took 2 out of 3 again over UC Riverside. And as you're seeing these scores right now, UH would fall in the first game 4-2. But come back to sweep the doubleheader 4-3 and 3-2. And those games, oh man, they had just about everything you could imagine. So before I get to that, here comes my banner. You already know what it is. But I also added in this, that they need a season sweep. So I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But first of all, guys, as I said earlier, remember, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to, or if you just want to see some more of my games. Either one is cool with me. So with that being said, let's get into this. Okay, now the first matchup was on Friday night, and unfortunately, as you can see on the score here, UH softball came away the losers 4-2. And that was a bit of a disappointment because although UH did all their scoring in the second inning, and also Riverside for that matter, because although they did it in a different inning, UH would score both of their runs in the second inning, and Riverside would score all 4 of their runs in the fourth inning. And that was a bit of a disappointment if you're a UH fan, because what happened in that fourth inning, I had just stepped away to the bathroom at that time. But when I looked on the live stats when I got home, it confirmed in my mind that Riverside had hit a home run by Jackie Alday, and that turned into kind of a double whammy because UH kept Riverside scoreless in the other 6 innings. And you take that fourth inning away, UH would have shut them out 2-0. But unfortunately, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. I mean, they were able to shut out UC Davis in the last home series. And they were also shut out in the front half of their doubleheader at Fullerton 5-0. But they came back to win it with, I believe, 5 or 7 runs in the 7th inning. And they were able to take the series 2-1. Now, give Fullerton credit because beating them can be a real chore, and nobody knows that better than Bob Coolin, the head coach, of course, in his final season. But Riverside is a team that UH has they've kind of had their number at times, but there's always going to be one game, it seems like, where Riverside always seems to get the upper hand. I look back to last year where UH had took on Riverside at their place. They won the first game, and I believe they won the first game, but in the back half of their doubleheader, UH scored 5 runs, including a grand slam from Chloe Borges, all in the first inning. 5 runs in that first inning, and they never scored again. And Riverside took command from that point on. There's always one particular inning that really kind of killed UH's chances at winning at least one of the matches. And that was that was the kind of disappointment that I was feeling after the Friday night game, because what made it disappointing was UH had at least one or two chances to still seize the win, but it just didn't work out. In the final inning, UH gets 2 runners on base, and just when you think, oh, all we need is and I was thinking to myself, oh, all we need is a home run. And unfortunately, Riverside had slammed the door with 2 quick outs on Karis Murakami and Liliana Thomas, which made it extra unfortunate because Liliana Thomas is one girl who can hit it out of the park anytime, any place, anywhere. Take my word on that. I've seen her hit a couple of home runs all season, at least a couple of home runs in a single night. And that was actually against UC Davis not that long ago. But overall, she was 2 for 6 that series. That was a doubleheader. But still, for someone, it's kind of a little bit like Maya Nakamura in a sense, who can hit it out anytime, any place, anywhere. And, but, sometimes it's just, unfortunately, softball is kind of wide open, and obviously no win is a gimme. But still, that was a little disappointing because I think they could have swept Riverside had they just gotten that home run. But like I said, you take that 4th inning out in the first matchup, UH should have shut them out, and we would have had a 3-0 sweep. But still, we took the series. That's the main thing. But UH softball really needs a season sweep to really better their chances at making the end of season tournament, because only the top 6 teams qualify. And currently, UH is sitting 4th place in the standings. Now, from a general standpoint, 4th place, it does not seem like, it doesn't really look encouraging, but believe me, when you look at how this year has gone for University of Hawaii, 4th place is really good because they started out winning their conference opener against Long Beach State, only to drop the doubleheader the next day, both games. And if UH had gotten at least one of those wins against Long Beach, they might have been in better shape, but, it is what it is. Fortunately, worst case scenario has not happened, and I'm pretty sure that you know what it is. If I say worst case scenario, you know exactly what I'm talking about as far as looking at a 3-game series, and UH has never been swept. That's the worst case scenario. Okay? For those of you who don't know. So I will say this, though. The doubleheader certainly provided every feeling in the book. And it looked like that they were going to maybe run away with this first game, but fortunately, they were able to hold on despite Riverside coming back, because UH was up 4-1, and then Riverside tries to rally with 2 runs in the 6th, but that was the closest they got. And that was a good thing, because if Riverside had stole the front half of the doubleheader, I don't think UH would have had the wherewithal to come back and at least win a game, because that might have been a bit of a confidence docker. And UH would have to build that foundation again, like a pyramid. Just keep winning, go up, 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 up. Okay? So fortunately, UH is able to stop the bleeding then. And they came away with that win. But the second game was a much different story. Yes, UH came out the winner, as you can see here. It was 3-2. But that was a game that could have gone in Riverside's favor, because neither team scored a run until the 7th and final scheduled inning. Riverside got back-to-back home runs, while UH got 3 runs of their own and sent them home the losers. So, but still, I give a ton of credit to UC Riverside because, like the men's basketball team, if you're not careful, they can reach up and steal one from you. And I like to think that's what happened with men's basketball, at least in the home matchup, because they had a lot of wacky shots that were going in from three-point range, and UH just basically had no answer. That was in basketball, of course. But as far as softball goes, Riverside is a team you can't really take any team lightly, especially those down at the bottom of the stack like UC San Diego and Cal Poly. But for a team like Riverside, you have to be on your game. And fortunately, UH found a way to still send them home the losers with 3 runs in the final inning when it was their turn.
Yes! Yeah! Come on! Yeah! We're tied up! Yeah! We got it! We got it! Hawaii wins! Woo-hoo-hoo! We did it!
And I'll tell you this, for UH to really get out of not one but 2 jams with a bases loaded jam, I should say, that was in the first inning. UH managed to get out of that unscathed, and I believe they got out of a jam in the 6th inning and kept Riverside scoreless. But Riverside, boy, they were racking up a lot of hits. By the 3rd inning, they had 7 hits total. UH had yet to log a single one. Kind of reminds me a little bit of 2005 Supercross when Ricky Carmichael had 7 wins while Chad Reed was still chasing his first win. And it took until San Diego to finally get a win. And he ran down Carmichael to do that. So that back half of the doubleheader reminded me a little bit of that. Because UH didn't get their first hit until the 3rd inning. Granted, it was Izabella Martinez, and she was tagged out at second. But it was ruled a hit because it landed in fair territory, and Martinez reached first base. So that counted as a hit. And she went for a double. I can't say I blame her for trying, though. And unfortunately, she was tagged out as soon as she got there, which was a big disappointment, but UH still found a way to win. And I'll tell you what, if the back half of that doubleheader didn't move Bob Coolin to tears like perhaps the Utah Tech game on the 16th of February, this team is going to be special. And I think that Spectrum Sports is really missing out on a great season for UH softball. I thought last year was going to be the payoff year because they had so many seniors on the roster, even girls that some of the audience kind of got used to watching, like Dallas Millwood, Kaena Kali'inoi, and Maya Nakamura, just to name a few, and myself as well, for some games anyway. But they should televise a lot more softball games and not just the season finale and not just the doubleheader season finale. Because as far as that goes, they've only televised 2 games on Spectrum Sports, and UH has won them both. First one was against Howard on February 26th, and then they televised the Long Beach State opener, the single match, but they haven't done so since. And I can understand that there's a lot more sports going on, but still, unless you're at the games like I am, you ain't gonna witness something. You ain't gonna get to relive magical moments like that. And that's where you can say that the Manoa Magic is really, really working. Not only is it working for baseball, but it's definitely working for softball too. And if UH can pull off wins like this, the rest of the conference better be on notice, because I think that they are going to get a season sweep sooner or later. but they need to come out with a purpose and try not to make a lot of mistakes. But still, while the error numbers, they may not necessarily tell the numbers, they don't really tell the whole story. But, you know, you look at the back half of that doubleheader, Riverside had 11 hits, UH had only 4. And fortunately, UH is still able to find a way to win. And that started when Martinez hit this 2 RBI single that was enough to drive in Sierra Yamamoto and Eliana Senzori to tie up the score. And all we needed was really just a home run or an RBI. And the girl for the job, Milan Ah Yat. Sounds like a replay of the Utah Tech game when Ah Yat hit that walk-off home run to left field, and UH is able to walk away the winners. This time it's an RBI walk-off, and it was enough to bring in Larissa Goshi. So at this point, I would definitely give them a B+ for this season so far. As far as this series goes, I think considering that we won it the way that UH won it the way that they did, I'm more than willing to give them an A because they were able to bounce back. And just like against UC Davis, they could have swept, but they won it the way that they won it was very much unforgettable. So I'm looking for them to maybe get a sweep over Cal State Bakersfield, and they got a point to prove after losing to Bakersfield 7-2 on the 16th of February. That was the spring fling tourney, which was kind of like a sad game overall. But I think they put that behind them. And as far as I'm concerned, Bakersfield better watch out because, and despite that Bakersfield will have home field advantage, I think UH is going to have the upper hand given the fact that they swept them last year and had an okay season in 23, had an okay series, I should say. But still, I still think that UH has still got the momentum in their corner. And I think that they will walk away with at least 2 wins. But if you take 2 out of 3, you're feeling pretty good. But you want that season sweep just to feel good about yourself. Okay? Now, Long Beach State, that was kind of like I think a 3-game sweep might have been a stretch considering how good they are. And they were picked to win the Big West. But right now, the series leader is Cal State Santa Barbara. Or UC Santa Barbara. I guess to be more politically correct, but still, it kind of sounds like basketball, you know, when Santa Barbara leads the series. Yeah. But still, that was a good series for UH. I think that they will pull off a season sweep sooner or later. And if they don't, then I don't think that this season is going to really prove that this season could have been a lot better. Because if they don't get a 3-0 sweep, then maybe it just wasn't their time, or it just was some bad luck sprinkled into it. That's what I attribute it to. If they don't get a 3-0 sweep, then I call that just plain old bad luck. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And remember, subscribe, and I'll see you all for the next home series, which will be against UC Santa Barbara in 2 weeks.
Yeah!